Hey, in the words of my little bro, hey man, say man. Hey, welcome to the Digital Dopamine Podcast, Bridges and Bankrolls Podcast. It's your boy Dancer, man. You know what I'm saying? Just holding it down. At the team out there in the Bahamas, they kicking it. So I'm here holding it down. And we are here with a special guest here to spike your dopamine. You know what I mean?
Like none other.
Say man, tell them who you are, man. What's your name?
Hey, coming live from Fort Worth, TX, from the Rosedale Nation itself. It's your favorite cousin, some of y'all favorite uncle, Rosedale Rex Fisher.
That mama, there go that man. There you go.
What's happening, y'all? What's
Say,
good?
Man, say man, we are honored, and honored to have you here, man. Say man, this is my brother, man.
Hey man, I appreciate that.
He know a lot of stuff that, and he talk about a lot of things. He talk about a lot of things that I guess that's not in our scope. You know what I mean? A lot of important issues, man. He has his own opinion, way of life, and stuff like that. And I would say it's righteous in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? He spit a lot of game, man. So for the people that don't know who you are, I would say give them a brief summary, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Hey, well, I'm Rosedale Rex Fisher. And, a lot of people remember me from my days as a local Fort Worth artist. I was a part of a group called The Cousins.
Yeah.
It was an independent record label that we all managed and ran called South Seal Music. I started dealing with rap culture and hip hop around 12 or 13 years old. Growing up in South Fort Worth, we didn't really have like studio access or stuff like that at first. So what we would do, I had a homeboy named Robert. What's up, Rob Rich? And his brother, Rod P. They had a karaoke machine and keyboard. Down the street was my homeboy Dinky and his brother Tito. R.I.P. to the homie Dinky. Also known as Quentin Eldridge, man. That was a good friend of mine. We lost him a few years back. But him and his little brother Tito, they had the speakers. They had big studio size speakers. So what we would do, we would get the studio equipment, the keyboard. It was like a 8-track mixer, like what you got right here. And it was a karaoke machine and a tape deck. And we would gather all the equipment in my mother's house on Baltimore Avenue, which was really my great aunt's house, but we held the house down for her after she passed. It was left to one of our family members. She didn't know what to quite do with the house, so we lived there for a long time, to keep the house occupied, to where wasn't nobody breaking in or stealing the copper. And it was different drug addicts back in them days. Like now with this meth thing, I heard they could smoke that meth and be high for days. But in the crack era, they was trying to get it. And they was different type of drug addicts. This mother be running down the street with a whole motor, or snatch your air conditioner out your window and be running down the street carrying a heavy ass air conditioner.
Daylight.
It was a different type of era as far as when it came to people who abused drugs.
Right.
So, they handled it a lot different. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta say this. With me, growing up, during that time, we wanted to have somebody in the house to where they wasn't stealing the copper up at the house, or taking a hot water heater or whatever.
Right.
So, my mother worked 2 jobs. I had a lot of free time to myself. We was unsupervised teenage kids, man, and what I used to do to keep my friends and keep our crew out of trouble, we wrote music, performed and recorded music in my mother's living room. And back then, all we had was this tape recorder and this karaoke machine. So it wasn't no punch ins or punch outs.
Yeah, you got like
modern,
one take.
Yeah, that's it.
One take.
Like modern studio equipment, You make a mistake, punch me back in right here.
Yeah.
Now
I
it
wouldn't
like
have
that.
No.
We had to rehearse. We had to rehearse the song before we recorded the song.
Did y'all hear that? Rehearse the song before you record it.
Yeah, we had to go through it. Everybody go through their verse one time, and then once we think we got it all down as far as us performing it together, then we turn the machine on, and then verse 1, hook.
Right.
Verse 2, hook. Verse 3, hook. Verse 4, because it was a 4-man group. Right. And then sometimes we would feature Rod Rich or Rod Pete on the record. And then when they come in on the record, it might be just 2 of us performing the hook and then 4 verses from the featured artist. And so that's where we got the concept of formulating songs and doing music and working together.
That's what you call getting it out the mud. I got a question, like, do you remember the first song you recorded and just the process? Do you remember the first song you ever recorded?
The first song I ever recorded was rest in peace to my homeboy Pooper, Michael Dick, and shouts out to Justin Williams. The first song we ever recorded was on just a regular tape recorder. Pop the tape in, put 2 pieces of paper on the tape.
Yeah, or put some tape on the end or something like that.
And pop the tape in the tape recorder and push the 2 buttons down, and it's them with a pen and they beating on the table. And then we kicking our rap. That was our first song. And it wasn't even a song, it was just freestyles. It was me and another cat named Dwayne Washington. We had formed a rap group called the 43rd Boys. We did that rap group in 1998. It was during the peak of the Cash Money and No Limit rise. You know, at that time it was more or less no limit. Cash Money was just about to take over for the 99 and 2000s. It was right there. It was right there. So what we did, Dwayne and Washington ran across this guy who was right there out Berry and South Freeway. It's right next to that little Mexican store that sell all them shoes. They give you 3 shoes for $50. God damn, that's a hell of a deal. 3 for $50. It's a hell of a deal. They got name brand in there. Puma, Nike. You know what I'm saying? For the women trying to go to the club, they got the little heels and slides and sandals.
Some of y'all know about that, man.
Don't act like you don't know. Don't act like you know. You know what I'm talking about right there. Right there on Berry, South Freeway.
Get it how you live.
Yeah, you know, ain't nothing wrong with it. Yeah, but anyway, next door, it used to be a door you could go in, and there was a studio there. There was a man that ran it, called himself BC. And it was the BC Records. You know what I'm saying? And that was the only place that had studio access or that had a record label in South Fort Worth at that time. So we got on the table and on the desk, we was in a field. It was a little picnic table at Morningside Middle School, right off Mississippi and Glen Gordon. We in that field, Justin and Pooh Bear, they beating on the table, and then me and Dwayne was rapping. And we did a little tape. Shouts out to my guy, Red too, aka Gerald, man. Gerald was in that group too. So if I remember correctly, the 3 of us laid a freestyle while Pooh Bear, Justin, my homeboy who became a part of the group, the cousins, Rock the Ruler, they was beating, doing the beats. We had these guys designated to do the beating on the table. We did all the MCing. Long story short, we created a demo. We took it to BC. BC listened to the demo. He said, man, I got to give you kids a lot of effort. I mean, a lot of credit for putting in this type of effort, but y'all not even 18. I can't sign y'all.
Right.
You know, I can't put no paperwork together and put y'all on no record label, but, you know, stay down with your dreams. And from there, I continued to do music. When I got into high school, we put together a group called the SMGs. My homeboy, Legit Hustle. Shouts out to Legit Hustle. Legit Hustle got a whole album with Big Chief. And then it was the homie Chops. Legit and Chops, they went on to go sign and Slip and Slide Records. So out of our little core group, the cousins came out of that, and then Chops and Legit, who went on to have some underground success.
Right.
They worked with Rick Ross artists, Mass Pike Miles, and they did their thing, as far as going to Florida, and they secured an independent record deal. But with the homies, we created the SMGs. We put together our own CD, working with a guy named DJ Technique. Shouts out to DJ Technique, Ryan Serter. I think he's still DJing out there. But anyway, he was the first real professional studio that we worked with. Okay. And we could punch in, punch out. Right. We could do all that type of stuff, and the quality sound better. So me and my guys, man, we didn't eat lunch for a month probably in school, just saving all our lunch money together so that we could pay DJ Technique, do the CD, burn the copies. Legit stayed up all night because he was the only one with a computer. So he stayed up all night, putting it together as far as what he was going to do, for distribution. So we came up with a method and an idea to burn these CDs. We burned 100 copies. I think it took us like 2 days to do that. We also had a guy named Leandre Woods. Shouts out to Leandre Woods. He done passed on, but I got to represent for my homie. Rest in peace, Woods. He was a real big part of us getting the SMGs off the ground, because before we started selling our own CDs, we were selling CDRs of other artists' music. I can't go too deep into that because that's what you call internet piracy. Yeah. And that is illegal.
We did it.
Yeah. So
we all did it, man.
You're not supposed to do that. Yeah. But we was doing that, and we made some money that also helped us buy blank CDs to produce and manufacture our own music. So man, we made our first 100 copies with the help of Legit Hustler and the homie Leandre Woods. When we got our first 100 copies, we sold them out in like less than a day at Trimble Technical High School, where I graduated, and we sold them for $5 a copy. So 4 high school kids out of Fort Worth made $500 in less than 8 hours selling music. Man, that's how popular the group was at that time. We did dozens of talent shows and rap talent shows, and we created our own shows. We did a show at Hillside Park where we took the initiative and put that together. R.I.P. to Big Dead over there from out the South Side. Big Dead helped us with that. Shouts out to Mr. Don, who was running a Coming Up program over there at Hillside Park. And they helped us put together our first show outside of school. Shouts out to Chops' uncle, Malachi. Uncle Malachi took us to Jack the Rapper. We went to a Jack the Rapper event. That was the first time we got to be around real A&Rs, real producers, everything that had to do with the music industry. But, over time, with streaming getting involved and, not really gaining any suitable revenues from doing the rap thing, I kind of pivoted away from that and focused more on stock investing, something that was more practical. My father used to tell me, son, you should put your time into something more practical.
Okay. Yeah.
So I started, doing stock investing. And once I started dealing with that, I started learning how I was going to, make a living for myself outside of entertainment. Right. And so I started doing stock investing. I eventually got my CDL. I worked in food service for a long time as a cook too. And then I also used to do dietary aid and bring food to the sick people all over Fort Worth that would stay at Harris Methodist Hospital downtown.
Salute to that, real time.
Yeah, so that's some of the stuff that I used to do early on before we birthed Rosedale Clothing and everything that we got going on with Rosedale Metaverse, which is another project that I'm working on that I've been kind of keeping under the hat. My homeboy Gary Neal, shouts out to Gary Neal Jr. Yes. He's got a film that's coming out. It's called 314.
Dope trailer, man.
And we doing dope things trailer. Like that.
Dope trailer. I haven't seen any more than the trailer, but man, dope trailer. Yeah. So, I mean, seeing that you've been around for a minute, you've been part of Fort Worth music culture for a minute, you know what I mean? And you're obviously, you made your imprint, you know what I mean? Tell me about how a couple of things have changed as far as, you know, just the way we used to do it and now. And just like Fort Worth music scene in general, man.
Well, it's really not much of a music scene here. I want to say this. Shouts out to Dr. Bulletface Ace and the LODGs. You know, he was a big influence on my musical career. You know, man, that Premeditated Saga album that they did, that shit was crazy. Yeah. You know, he had a lot of dope records on there. Rest in peace to Suge, the Pimp Preacher, a.k.a. Suge McNasty. Man, he was a fool. Boy. The 8th Street Menace, he was a fool. Gangsta Mac, AWOL. You know, they had some dope artists. Right. And, you know, we love Twisted Black in here, Fort Worth, and they never take nothing away from the legendary Twisted Black. But that's like one thing that kind of is messed up about the Fort Worth music scene. When you hear people talk about Fort Worth music, they seem to only mention Black as if he was the only person that was here. You know, a lot of people don't know that Six Deuce that wrote all that great music for Dr. Dre. He's from Fort Worth. Living legend. And Genocide was dope. And then they forget about the guy that came out with Twisted Black, Evil Seed, when they was One Good Side. And they had that record, that single, Hog Ballin'. You know what I'm saying? That shit was raw. You know what I'm saying? So people forget about that. And shouts out to my homeboy Thump, a.k.a. Rashad Thrill Kill, Mr. Millionaire by Morning. He did a lot of dope beats over there at 3R. And he was one of the few people, and him being an Eastwood guy and me being a Southside guy, traditionally the two communities don't get along. But we did some work together. He brought me on his show. He made me a part of his Fort Worth Underground, Funky Town Underground magazine staff. You know, he put me in his magazine. He showed me a lot of love, man, so I want to shout him out. But one of the main things that's bad about Fort Worth, and that always been bad about Fort Worth when it comes to the rap culture, is we don't champion our artists. We really don't. We don't support and champion our artists. We too busy competing with each other. And, you know, we don't want to like, share, and subscribe in today's era. You know, we act like it's something wrong with that.
It seems like it's like we don't have no respect for a lot of people. I'm not going to say a lot of people because there's a lot of people that do bring up our Fort Worth past. It's like we just want to just forget all about the people that got us here. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of people that paved the way. And speaking of that, and I want to say this real quick, man. Rest in peace to Dean Manuscript, man. Great Rick Rogers, man.
Tri-Coastal.
Man, Tri-Coastal Radio was something very instrumental that helped a lot of local artists. And a lot of people ain't poured that out of their heart and gave it up for him. I didn't get a chance to attend the funeral or really get to express any of this because I don't get to be on no big platforms like this. This is a big platform. I don't get these type of opportunities because for one, I'm gonna push for unity. For two, I'm not gonna promote drug and gang culture. You know, well, Rex, how you got a shoe with a red bandana, you know, and you got a shoe with a blue bandana, and you not represent gang culture? Well, let me give you the story behind the Rosedale rose petal shoe. This is the thing about this. When you choose to walk in either of these shoes, you gotta live with the consequences that come with choosing these shoes.
True.
And Fort Worth is a very gang culture type of town, but that's not all we have to offer. Some people don't know Dr. Martin Luther King laid his head in South Fort Worth before he gave a speech to the NAACP. A lot of people don't know that Fort Worth hosted John F. Kennedy on his last night alive. He laid his head right here in Fort Worth. A lot of people don't know. And you don't have to choose now one of these shoes to put on. You can stay neutral. You can stay neutral. You know, that don't mean you not cool. That don't mean you lame. That just means you choose to live differently. You know, and that's just one of the things that I don't like when we look at Fort Worth on the national scene, because we not really recognized for music.
We not.
You know, we had a couple good artists, you know, that made a splash, and like Cuzzo Leak is hot.
He's hot. He hot.
Bag Baby Tate.
Salute.
She's hot. She hot. You know, and I think both of those artists had two of the biggest records in a long time for Fort Worth history. And they had the two hottest records for a female artist and for a male artist out of Fort Worth this year. Them two records, That's a Noun, and that Turn County Baby, that shit was huge. But because we don't support each other, and you know, a lot of you cats got that bread. We ain't gonna talk about how you got it, but a lot of y'all got that money. And then now one of y'all grab one of them and say, hey, we finna go over here and talk to Cat Daddy. We finna go over here and talk to Baby. Tell Baby I got 20 for him. Tell Baby I got 15 for him. We need to get you on this show. Tell Baby I got 10 for him. Right. You know, that's the type of stuff we don't do, but that's the type of stuff that happens in the larger markets. That happens in Houston. That happens in LA. That happens in New York. That happens in Miami. That happens in Atlanta. Even if it's a crew of guys, they got to put this bag together, because, you know, it's payola when it comes to the radio station. You got to pay up. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a politician. You want to get something. You want to get something passed through the law. You want to get something that's gonna benefit your community. Sometimes you got to make a charitable donation to their campaign. And so people are not doing that with Fort Worth artists, and I believe that's the difference in between Fort Worth and Dallas. Because Dallas, they got the radio station, so it'll be more likely that they'll play a Billionaire Zoe record, or even Mo 3. They'll be more open to play their record because they from Dallas. City. But as far as us, we gotta go 60 miles down the road, 30 minutes down the road to try to get that opportunity. And we feel like, well, hey, I'm so good, I shouldn't have to pay nobody.
Shouldn't have to pay. Boy, that ego a motherfucker, bro. I swear. I mean, what do you think about even just maybe the local radio stations and their support in Fort Worth music scene?
It's non-existent. We ain't never had no damn support. I mean, not to be like that. I know you got to be careful for monetization. They don't try to do too much cussing. But man, we ain't never had no support from K1041 97.9. You know, it's that one marquee artist where they showed him a little love. And that's because Black done charted. You know what I'm saying? We done had all these great songs in the social media era, but ain't none of them records really charted because ain't nobody pushing hard enough. I think maybe Tay, she might done charted or got close. Same thing with Cuzzo Leak. But I think those are records that should be done charted, in my humble opinion. Now, I don't know who handling their careers. And you know me, I don't like to talk too much on other people's business. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been raised like that. But on my humble opinion of the situation, they the two of the hottest artists we done had in a long time. And it's like they ain't got enough of a push behind them. And it been certain little behind the scenes politics that may not, you know, what may have kept that from happening. because, everybody not going to be happy for your success. That's just like Rosedale clothing. Before people knew me and my oldest brother was behind Rosedale clothing, man, I was selling shirts like crazy. I was selling hoodies like crazy. But when it came out, that's Curtis Ryan and Robert Ryan and Madonna's Ryan, that's them. Once that came out, then some people drew their support. Some people put in an order and something came up, they can't come pick the order up.
Kind of like they picked a side or something like that,
But this the thing about enemies. You got enemies known and unknown.
I know, yeah.
How you gonna pick a side about what is you picking a side over? Who don't like us that's not saying that they don't like us?
It's a lot of that, though. It's a lot of that.
You see what I'm saying? And so this is the thing. If you got something to say about a man or woman, everybody is not going to be out front and address it. And then at the same time, if you got ill intent in your heart, a lot of times that ain't the best thing to do because you got something ill in your heart towards the person. So why would you let them know that?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But yeah, man, to me, you've got people like say for instance, Paperboy J, Free Paperboy J.
Yeah.
He's a hot artist. He did the 97.9 car show, but it wasn't no lot of fanfare behind that.
Right.
And he was a dope artist coming up out of Eastwood. I came and met him at a video shoot he did. He was doing some work with Jonathan Stewart. You know what I'm saying? I hooked up with him and watched them do their thing, and that's how I met Jonathan Stewart for the first time, and that's how I met Paperboy J. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, it's a lot of talented people out of Fort Worth.
It is, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Corner Boy and they clothing brand and Goldie the One and Blue Loco. And shouts out to my homeboy T Wee the Hater Herder. You know what I'm saying? I done did some records with him. I done, performed shows with Blue Loco when we had Club Righteous. That was ran by Ricciano and my
Black
boy
Heart.
Pulo. Everybody else. Shouts out to Blackheart. See, that's another good one. They did a lot. Man, they did a lot. Man, these people got real estate. These people got studios. These people is doing a lot of major stuff in Fort Worth. And it's not documented. It's not. It don't get no light.
Black man.
What I'm saying? And it's positive. This is not us getting on a podcast.
You don't even hear about negative stuff about these dudes, man. They work too hard, man.
Come on, man. But every time I cut on the YouTube, it's something about some Crips and some Bloods. It's something about some, we don't like these niggas over here, and these niggas got it wrong, and all this old shit here. And ain't none of this shit doing nothing but, making us look a certain way. It might be a way a certain group of people that's in the podcast business get their money, but why not talk about some of these positive things? We got Smokeaholics Barbecue. This man, one of the hottest barbecue restaurants.
It's good.
It's one of the biggest things going on in Fort Worth.
And
it's one of the biggest things going on in Texas. He done made national TV. He done made the news several times. Why ain't nobody tried to interview this man and bring him on their podcast and talk about anything Fort Worth is just some gang banging, shooting, and killing. So I'm gonna give you what you like. I'm a businessman. I'm gonna give you what you like. You know what I'm saying? But it's a message with this. It ain't just promoting gang, coaching gang violence. Young men and women, if you choose these shoes, you got the worm.
It's a lot to go with that, man.
You got the worm. So, that's the thing that I'm bringing with this. It's a message with this. It's not, when we first came out, police ran me up off the corner of Bishop and Rosedale at the gas station. They said I was selling gang paraphernalia.
I believe that.
When I was coming with the Rosedale clothing, we had the signature cursive T-shirts. They say, man, you can't do this here. The store owner done called us on, where is you getting all this gang paraphernalia? And I'm like, man, it's not no gang stuff. I'm actually trying to heal this issue in our city.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is one thing that we all got in common. You can go through Stop 6, you can go through Eastwood, you can go through the South Side, you can go through Como. This street reaches all these historical neighborhoods in Fort Worth. The only place that Rosedale don't touch is the north side because it's north of Rosedale.
Yeah.
But traveling from east to west, this street go through our whole city. It's Business 287. It was the commercial real estate mecca of Fort Worth. Any kind of restaurant, Drake's Cafeteria. You know, it's on Rosedale. You got to take Rosedale to get to the medical district. If you want to get to Smokeaholics Barbecue, you got to exit 35 and eat Rosedale. So, you know, this
Texas
is
Westland.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
this is something that we all got in common, and I wanted to cure our community, not further fracture it. You know, when we talk about this whole thing about gang violence, the Armenian genocide, the Eritrean versus the Ethiopian war, the Rwanda and Civil War, all of these things ended faster than gang violence in America. Nationwide. These is recognized wars and genocides across the world. The gang warfare in America, whether it's the Crips and Bloods, the Gangster Disciples, and Vice Lords, however you want to look at it.
Even these little local cliques, man.
Yeah, even the stuff that done went on in our community with us fighting, the genocides in America, the tribal warfare in America has lasted longer than any other genocide in world history.
And we dragging it on. We steady dragging it on too. You know what I mean? And
and
I also want to say that's not black culture, man. That ain't my culture. That ain't my culture. That's not. Me myself, I ain't never gang banged or anything like that. I got a problem. I ain't gonna say I got a problem with authority, but that kind of authority, I got a problem with that. So I never fell for it. For each his own. Whatever you did, that's your thing. Like you said, if you put these colors on, you gotta wear them. But me myself, I just wasn't that guy. You know what I mean?
And that's why you don't hear me just continually drill away at those points. Because, you know, I know a lot of OGs and gang members. And
You can't help that too.
I just so happen to be related to a gang founder in the city. And, you know, I don't even elaborate on that too much. Because that's his story to tell.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? But for those that know us and know my family, they know who my brother is. You know what I'm saying? And they know, shit. You know, when it come down to that, he meant business in his era. Right. He was very serious. And for me, seeing that culture from, you know, right there in my living room, it's not about, you said the main thing, it's authoritative. You know, you're not going to do what you want to do. No. You're going to do what you're supposed to do, and you're going to also do what you instructed to do. And see, that's what these young people don't understand about when you enter into that lifestyle. It's not no bunch of you doing what you want to do. Me remaining and being my own man is things that I can do that I probably wouldn't be able to do if I was full-fledged gangbanger. I went through a little phase of that in my life. But like I say, the founder, the OG, he come to me personally. Look, bro, that's not for you. That's not for you. Yeah. Even my oldest brother, who I started Rosedale Clothing, this is a dope slanging motherfucker, man. Yeah. I mean, excuse me, this person really knew how to sell drugs good. Right. He could sell the shit out some drugs. Right. And, you know, and he was very efficient in that. Right. And they was one of the biggest drug cases in Fort Worth history when you talk about the fishbowl. Yeah. But again, I'm not going to elaborate on that too much because those are their stories to tell. True. You know, it's not my stories to tell. But if you know who I am and you know who my brothers are, you know I'm not lying. You know, during the 1990s, in the early 2000s. He made a lot of money off of messing with illicit drugs, you know. But when it came down to this clothing thing, he didn't know how to quarterback and handle that like I did.
Okay.
And that comes to another point that I like to make. Just because you're a drug dealer don't mean that you're a hustler. A hustler can sell anything. A drug dealer sells drugs. And it's simple as that. And that's not to put him down. That's my oldest brother. Although he has put me down and he has been negative towards me and he has drugged my name. And let me get that straight right now. I ain't stole nothing from nobody. Rosedale Clothing was an idea that we put down together. But me, I took the initiative to take it further. Shouts out to Big Mo out there in Sierra Leone. I hope you're watching this. Right. Shouts out to Stewart and shouts out to Uganda Mayweather in Kampala City, Uganda, and in Entebbe, Uganda. I hope y'all are tapping into the show. That's Rosedale Nation worldwide in the great continent of Africa. And there's 2 countries that have embraced us wholeheartedly. So I want to give a big shout out to my friend Big Mo out there in Sierra Leone. He always tapping in with us. He's always supported us. In Uganda Mayweather, he put our clothes out in a Civil Center and a shopping mall that they got out there in Kampala City. If you've never heard of Kampala City is the city where a dictator and the last king of Scotland, Mr. Idi Amin, that's where he ruled from. Y'all heard that name, Idi Amin, because that's one of the outlaws' names from Tupac's famous group, the Outlaws. So Idi Amin was a ruler in Uganda. We got a strong connection in Uganda. We sold a lot of clothes out there in our 2020 campaign, 2020 and 2021. Okay. But I want to put that on the slab straight up because it's been taught that, yeah, Rex Fisher stole Rosedale Clothing from his brother. I didn't steal nothing. As you can see, I've continued the brand. I've expanded the brand into footwear. We got track suits now. You know, we got Rosedale Metaverse that's coming out. I did interviews in Las Vegas and, did a lot of work with Sly Cat out there with Mental Margarita Show in Las Vegas. It shows on the CW channel down there in Las Vegas, Nevada. Man, they flew me out. We stayed at the Tuscany Inn on the Strip. Man, I got to just enjoy everything. And mentioning Tupac, I went to Flamingo in Koval, where he got shot at. And I sat on that corner and got to see that and experience that and soak that in. And you know, man, hey, I ain't never tried to take nothing or put nobody down or nothing like that. But you know, my brother, he played a dirty game with this guy. You know, I'm not gonna even mention his name, but you know, he's a guy that made his living about talking about people's mamas, talking about people's children, you know, being very disrespectful to the gang culture. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this cross-eyed motherfucker. I ain't gonna drop his name because it looked like the momentum slowing down a little bit. Looked like the buzz getting kind of cold a little bit. We ain't been seeing him pop out as much. He ain't being talked about that much. But you know, sometimes the rats take a little while for a rat to eat poison and for it to die. You know, sometimes the poison kill a rat slow. But you know, I'm not no name dropping type of guy. I just mention the people that I mentioned during this interview because I feel like they need to get a little light for the great things that they've done. But you know, my brother sit up and let this guy, this cross-eyed motherfucker, sit up, and we're going to have to edit that out because I know we can't do too much cussing for monetary reasons. But the man sit up here and play with our mother, man, and say all these insulting things about our mother and things like that and trying to insult me or salt me down. And my brother allowed this thing to happen and then want to act like he's so upset about it. I did an OG Percy interview maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, man.
Okay.
Shouts out to OG Person. But anyway, I did an interview with him, and I mentioned some things about my older brother, and I didn't put my oldest brother in it. And I mean, he just got in his feelings. So, I just praised you for what you was good at. You was good at selling that poison. That's what you was good at. You was a phenomenal athlete, but you threw it away to peddle that poison. I mean, this guy was fast, dancer. This guy could run. Oh man, he was a hell of a sprinter. Ran the 100 meters for Poly High School, and he beat our future Cowboy Kevin Williams and Corey Fleming.
Okay.
If y'all remember Kevin Williams played on some of them Super Bowl teams. He beat them in the 100 meter. He was just a senior in high school. And these guys was in college. I mean, he was an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
But the allure of fast money and cars and jewelry and to be somebody in the street spotlight, that sucked him in.
Mm-hmm.
So he threw away his career, and we'd never know what would have been. He might have been an Olympian. I mean, anybody that know anything about track and field and football in the early 90s, late 80s, they know about Curtis Ryan and played for Poly and ran track for Poly, but they end up knowing Curtis Ryan for other things. But see, he really had something negative to say to me about that. I mean, this is my interview with this dude. This is me doing my business, and I'm still representing this brand, and I'm still putting us out further. But some people, they gotta be the center of attention.
Okay.
And we're not gonna stay on that too much, but I wanted to give him some light today since he feel like he didn't get enough light or enough credit. And that's sad that you could have somebody run around and drag your name. He don't want to take care of mama. He didn't do nothing for mama for 3 years while you were serving that prison sentence. I made sure she made every doctor's appointment. I made sure every bill was paid. Hell, I paid for some shit that I shouldn't have paid for just to keep her happy. You understand me? You had money on your books. You won your appeal. You had some help and some aid from that with me. Is you talking about that when you dragging me to other people? Or when you letting this guy with this glass eye try to shame me? Man, I had people that was my classmates and people that I thought was my friends. They really laughed about this, man. They had a lot of fun about this.
Right.
About this guy trying to shame my mother and shame my family. So you know what I did? I got on the floor. I did more push-ups, sit-ups. I got the dumbbells. I worked out, man, till I got that call from Las Vegas to go do that interview. And I took that negative light that was given to me from this person who done made his living by putting other people down. I took that and I launched my shoe brand. I came with these track suits, and I got paid for one of the biggest interviews that I done did in my career. And it helped me, launch pad myself. So it helped me launch the next wave of Rosedale Clothing International. So I'm really not even mad at the guy with the glass eye. I'm glad that he ran his mouth because it helped me. But it was hurtful to see the people that I grew up with that I would have thought would have been rooting for me. They was having fun, laughing with this guy, mocking me and mocking my family. And just to know that somebody you done went to bat for, that you done went and put your money on their books, that you done gave to them, you might have should have kept this for yourself. Right. To go against you for this other person for clout. It was very hurtful. But I used that pain to get in the weights and get on that floor and put all this on. Man, my body looked so good. They say he taking performance enhancing drugs.
Oh, wow.
So let me tell you this. If I was on steroids, that means I could go buy a Mercedes Benz or I could go buy that Cadillac Escalade I want. Because to get that bile coat, to get them anabolic steroids, Very expensive.
That's some money, bro. That's some money.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
So, not to get off subject, but I wanted to touch on that a little bit. And shouts out to my kinfolk, Assassin, the artist. He does a lot of the graphic design work for us at Rosedale Nation. Y'all should follow him on Instagram and TikTok, Incognito Reels. He put together some great comedy. He puts together great visuals that, man, I think a lot of y'all will enjoy. So press the follow and the like button on a lot of his content.
Yeah.
Check out Incognito Reels. But I ain't not to stay on that too long, but man, that was kind of bothering me.
Understood. I mean, in that aspect, especially with the brand and whatnot, because there might be somebody watching this, man, and they got maybe just an idea. Where would they start? Do you have any idea or any advice of like where do I start if I want to start my own brand, my own shooting, my own tracksuits? I mean, I know it started with an idea, but outside of that, what kind of action can they take? How did you get to Africa? You know what I mean? How did all of this happen?
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. When my brother and I was deciding on creating Rosedale clothing, we didn't know it was gonna be Rosedale clothing.
Right. Okay.
I'll take you back to that time period when he was serving his 30-year sentence in FBOP, the United States Penitentiary.
You ain't lying. Boy,
So,
that's a crazy statement right there.
And so what happened was my brother had been got caught up in the largest federal drug case at the time, which was the Fishbowl. We went to his sentencing after he took his plea deal. Judge McBride sentenced him to 30 years in prison. The family's crushed. We don't know how to deal with something like this. This has never happened. As far as my family is hard-working, honest people. Just my brothers, and I got a cousin. They the only ones that done been to prison out of my whole family. Which, that's in today's era, that's saying something. That show you how to look at my family, because how Texas, the Tim Curry Justice Center.
Boy.
If you don't know who Tim Curry is, he's a legendary prosecutor and district attorney. They built prisons because of Tim Curry. Tim Curry done sent a lot of y'all uncles, brothers, and fathers, maybe even your mother, to prison. Tarrant County had a conviction rate that was almost comparable to the feds. They had a 90% conviction rate at one time in Tarrant County, or better. It was somewhere in there.
It was.
Fort Worth, and going to jail in Fort Worth, people always ask this question: what did you sign for? Ain't nobody taking nothing to trial. It's what did you sign for? You going.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So we can glorify this gang thing, but let's talk about how your ass going to penitentiary.
Yeah.
That's why when you turn on the podcast and the YouTube, you got so much prison content, because they build prisons because of Tarrant County. But back to the clothing thing. My brother had just received his 30-year term. The family is crushed. I gotta keep his hope alive.
Right.
Bro, you not finna do no 30 years, because again, with federal prison, before you can even come up for parole, you gotta do, what is it? It's either 90 or 80% of your time. I wanna say it's 80%, which that's almost the whole sentence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But y'all is prison experts out there in TV land, I mean on the internet. Y'all comment below. Is it 80% of your time or is it 90% of your time? I know it's more than half.
Right.
So
Definitely.
I gotta let him know, bro, you're not gonna do no 30 years. You gonna get through this. So we would sit on the phone and talk about business ideas when he called home, and this is how it would keep his spirits up. When we was performing as the cousins, back then you could still get paper mail through the mail.
Sure.
Now in TDC, and I think in federal prison, there's no more paper mail. You can't send letters no more. That's out of there. because you had some drug stuff going on
Right.
about that paper mail. People love drugs in America. There's not another place on the earth that got the appetite for drugs like America.
Right.
And that's why on the other side of the line, when the cartels first started, a pound of weed was like $25. They come on this side of the line
Right.
and sell it for $500. And that was that Mexican brick. It wasn't that, what y'all smoking today. You understand me? But back to the point. Me and bro, we talking about business ideas. Now, essentially, the clothing brand was supposed to be a black clothing brand that focused on black history. We would put our heroes on the clothing. Marcus Garvey, Angela Davis, Harriet Tubman, Thurgood Marshall, George Jackson, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, George Washington Carver, John Punch, which is one people don't talk about. The first runaway slave, was John Punch. The Virginia slave, Tom Mullenix, who was one of the first sports stars. He was a bare-knuckle fighter who would do the Mandingo fights like depicted in Django. He would do the Mandingo fights. He would win money for his slave master. He won so many bare-knuckle boxing matches and got his freedom.
Right.
Dred Scott, the first slave that mailed himself to freedom. Atticus Crispus, the first black man killed the first man killed in the Revolutionary War. The Tuskegee Airmen, the Buffalo Soldiers, which our grandfather was a Buffalo Soldier, and my great-grandfather was a Buffalo Soldier. So my mother's father fought in World War II, and then my mother's grandfather on my granddaddy's mother's side, he fought in the Civil War. His name was Philip Barrett. Philip Barrett, he was from Kentucky, Henderson, Kentucky. He died and was buried in the National Cemetery in Indiana. And he fought in the Civil War. But all of these great historical figures were supposed to be a part of our initial idea when we created the clothing brand. Okay, so what I did was talk to bro and kick these ideas around for many, many times. This is what we're gonna do. Now we're gonna do this. Now we're gonna do that. We would talk about these things all the time. And what it ended up being was this. I went to a seminar that was put together by Mr. Damon John from Shark Tank, and also the founder of FUBU.
Yeah.
Damon John had a man there. His name was Joe Welsh. Joe Welsh was who I got to meet. Mr. John wasn't able to be there. And what they gave us was an outline of what you need to do to create a great business. And so I took that outline and I messed with it. And one of the greatest things that jumped out in that information was, if there is no market for your ideal, create a market and dominate it.
Yeah.
And so me and bro was kicking around ideas, and then 2018 came around. He was released from prison. And during that time, shouts out to Bryce Slaughter and Barber Cut and Slaughter Cuts. Me and Bryce are business partners. He's like my brother. And he was telling me about this Southern California rapper by the name of Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
And he said, man, Nipsey is the next big thing, man. He's so great, bro. You know, he got the Crenshaw clothing. He got a Fat Burger. And he invested in all of these different businesses. He's selling weave. He's doing all these other big guys, real estate. He's messing with crypto. He got $100 CD finna come out. I'm finna go buy it. I say $100 CD. I say, look, bro, save your money. Ain't you trying to go to barber college? At this time, he's not a barber yet. My young brother done went from being a barber to a barber instructor to doing other businesses. Again, barber cart. You need to get your barber supplies. You need to get your clippers fixed. You need to holler at Bryce Slaughter over there at Barber Cut, at Barber Cart. So salute to Bryce. But anyway, Bryce kept talking about me, and he bought the $100 CD. Already. So I say, man, let me check out this Nipsey Hussle guy. Right. So I get to checking him out, and I like what he was doing. And I say, man, this is a brilliant brother. So I start kind of looking at his moves, and I see how he took some of his formula from Apple. And what he wanted that Apple and Steve Jobs had was vertical integration. So if you want to create your own business or your own clothing line, you want vertical integration. That's something that you want to have. What do you mean by vertical integration, Rex? Well, with Apple, you got the Apple phone, you got the Apple Watch, you got the Apple earbuds, you got Apple Music, which distributes content. But most importantly, in order to buy any of these, you have to go through Apple and go to the Apple store. Right. And so that's what Nip saw. He wasn't going to wear other people's clothes. Right. I'm going to control every part of the supply chain, from the Crenshaw store to them doing their own production, right, to them being, their own music. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing with the distribution. He wanted to sell everything out of his store. So that's what he found from Apple. So I don't believe, and this is something that he used to say, I don't believe in blanketed advice. What worked for me almost 7 years ago may not work for you today. Right. Because the game was different back then. And the game is always evolving as far as technology. Mm-hmm. But what I would say to anybody that's trying to get in business in any level, whether it's fashion, music, film, vertical integration is the key. The more pieces of the supply chain you own, the more products that you can provide that are congruent, or not the word that I'm looking for, that are correlate. The more products that you find that correlate with each other, that means more of the supply chain that you control, and that means that you got more ownership over your products. Rosedale shirt, Rosedale tracksuit, Rosedale socks, Rosedale shoes. All of those are products that correlate with fashion. Right. So I own a piece of every type of fashion merchandise that you can have. Rosedale hoodie, Rosedale jacket, Rosedale beanie, Rosedale hat. You know what I'm saying? Only thing that we haven't gotten yet is a flagship brick and mortar store. That's the other piece that I want to own when it comes to vertical integration. Right. What I like to do is I like to outsource my production. If you want to get into fashion, you need to have a solid production team. That's very key. You have to have someone who's going to create this merchandise for you, or you can do like what Hustle Mill was doing. Do your own production. But that's another key. And another thing that I would advise them to do is marketing. Yeah. People cannot buy a product that they don't know exists.
And that's like the biggest, like your biggest bill, just marketing, man. You know what I mean? Just trying to promote that product, man. You're going to spend so much money. You're going to crash and burn. You know what I mean? Some marketing may work, some marketing may not work. You know what I mean? So I agree with that.
Yeah, what you got to do, man, is that you really got to get out there and network.
Got network.
Another thing that I see in
Gotta touch
Fort
the
Worth that don't happens a lot, people act like it's a bad thing to ask for help.
Yeah.
And they secondly act like it's a bad thing to work together.
Yeah.
Black people, and it's not to make it a racial thing, but I gotta tell it how it is. Black people is the only group of people in America that don't understand group economics.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very proud of that I see here with digital dopamine and everything that you done did with Grind Kings is y'all understand group economics. Y'all putting y'all resources together. Y'all pooling y'all money together and look at everything that y'all done built and look at everything that y'all have accomplished by doing that. If we can put our money together to buy a section, we can put our money together to buy a duplex. If we can put our money together to buy drugs, we can put our money together to buy this truck and trailer.
Right.
You gotta learn to use these resources together. I'm gonna tell you another interesting story. I got a doctor, her name is Dr. Patel, and I don't know if she's a part of this family, but this touches on Uganda again. When Idi Amin took power, he expelled all Indian Ugandans. So if you was of Indian descent and you lived in Uganda, you was exiled. He made them leave. They left for the UK or they left for America.
Okay.
One of those Indian families that was tossed from Uganda, they landed in America. They took the monies that they had and to house their whole family, they bought a hotel. They began to operate and run that hotel as a business. The family lived there and worked there. And for this reason, their overhead was cheaper,
of course,
than any other hotel in their area. They used this to offer cheaper rates.
Right.
With offering cheaper rates, they was always at capacity.
Right.
They never had vacancies.
Right. Don't leave anything on the table.
By not leaving any money on the table, by always having a full hotel, by having a family operated hotel, they bought another one.
Yep.
And when they bought the next one, they applied that same principle.
Yeah.
And by them applying this business model, this group economic ideal,
right,
the Patel family owns 75% of all hotels and motels in America.
That's
right now.
That's crazy.
So that's the power of group economics.
Right.
You seen it with Lisa's Chicken. That was a family that had one chicken house.
Yes, I know that. I know that man that started it.
And as a family, they worked at that one chicken house.
Yeah.
And they expanded. They went from Fort Worth to Arlington. They went from Arlington to Crowley to Burleson. Now it's one headed almost going to Alliance.
I know at one point in time he was offering anybody that could find real estate for him to build another restaurant, and he actually bought it. He was paying these people, so he had the streets working for him. That same man. You know what I mean?
Group economics. It's one of the key things that we aren't doing as a people. Right. This is what I want to come on the podcast and talk about. Right. I know we Crips and Bloods and we tough and we done been to prison and we'll kill and we'll shoot each other and your mama ain't this and your dad ain't this and I had sex with your woman and it really wasn't that good, but I did it anyway, and I'm gonna go get some more of it to make you mad. And I know all of that. Yeah. How can we use this platform to make money? Yeah. So to answer your question, because I'm one of them guests that I go all over everywhere because I got so much information that I be wanting to share with y'all. To get back to the point, we was born out of an ideal of trying to keep hope alive. So there's shouts out to Jesse Jackson. Anyway, a lot of y'all graduated from Jesse Jackson.
You don't even
AKA,
know who Jesse Jackson is.
AKA Teresa B. Lee.
Lee.
Anyway,
Boy.
we're going to talk Fort Worth today. We're going to talk Fort Worth today. See, that's why I gave y'all Rosedale Street. We can represent our street. We ain't got to represent no street way in California.
And that's we got Rosedale.
We got Rosedale or other streets. You know, it done been a lot of controversy about guys from Fort Worth, you know, repping other streets that they ain't never been to. But you know, like I say, I don't touch on the negative comments and on none of the negative stuff, because at the end of the day, it ain't none of my business. You know, I'm not fool enough to get on a podcast that's gonna be shown worldwide and admit to being a gang member.
Right.
Who gets on a podcast and admits to being an active gang member? Gangs are considered organized crime, criminal enterprises. Who got any kind of sense that'll come and put a microphone in their face and say that they is a gang member? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Look at the Keefe D situation. Make it make sense. But I'm going to say this. Look at the ARAB situation. The brother from Philly. Look what he did with himself doing interviews. Worrying about the negative in the interview. We ain't got to rep nobody else's street. That's why I put out Rosedale clothing. You got your own historical street to represent. You got your own culture to represent. And that's not to put nobody down. That's not to make myself to be greater than somebody else. But that was the vision when we came up with that. I saw what Nip Nim did, and it was so great, and it was something that related to the whole California.
Right.
I said, we not going to do no Black History brand, bro. We going to push our line.
Right.
We going to represent our city.
Right.
And I know this is something everybody going to know.
Right.
And ironically, it happens to be a Rosedale, Queens. It happens to be a Rosedale, Mississippi. It happens to be a Rosedale out there in California. You know what I'm saying? In the Valley. It happens to be a Rosedale, Australia. It happens to be a Rosedale area in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It happens to be a Rosedale street in Houston. So with me creating something that I wanted to only apply to Fort Worth, it actually applied to the world. And so with the campaign being as strong and as popular as it was on social media, we went viral in the streets, because I know y'all look up to drug dealers and gang members. So these was the guys that I brought on staff with us to work with us as far as selling the merchandise. You know, like I say, my oldest brother was a real big wheel in this drug thing. So I say, all the people you know about dealing with drugs, show them this your new product that you sell. It caught on. So we went viral in the streets. That's on him and some of the homies from my oldest brother's gang organization. They made it go viral in the streets. And then, you know, I got friends on both sides, the red side and the blue side, because we went to Trumbull Tech. So Trumbull Tech is a non-district school. Yeah. What that means is anybody in Fort Worth that got the grades and the citizenship can go to this school. Yeah. So I done met people from every community in Fort Worth, and they remember me from rapping. So, you know, when this dude was running his mouth about my family and about me, that's why it was kind of hurtful. Because I'm like, man, y'all supposed to rock with me. Because y'all know if I take this opportunity about this dude running his mouth about me and I blow up off of it, I'll be the one that'll come back and do something for our graduating class. For class of 2004. Throw us a big ass party or whatever. Get everybody. I would be the one to do that. But instead, y'all clout chased and meat pulled and sausage hugged and got in with this dude that we don't even know where this man came from, man. They say this man from Arlington, he just showed up and just popped up and was over there on Rosedale at that old man's establishment known as the Classy Lady. He started popping up and being around them, and I guess the older gentleman liked him. That's who really put this guy on. I'm not gonna name drop. if you put your context clues together, you know who I'm talking about. You know, he the one who put this guy on. You know what I'm saying? The old man did. You know, and he helped put him in position to win, which that's their story to tell, and I'm not tripping off them. If the elder liked him, that's on, you know, what the elder liked. This old man, he owned businesses on both sides of the line. He had the sandwich shop over on Evans Avenue where all my brother and his gang homeboys used to hang out there. Then he came over on the east side. He started that little hole in the wall night joint where, you know, the guys from the red side used to hang out. So he got a relationship with both gang communities. But he's an older gentleman. He remember a time in Fort Worth where all the black people and the black men helped each other.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't be against each other.
There was a time.
Because this was one of the racist cities in the state of Texas, especially North Texas. So as a black people, we had to stick together. And guess what the older generation understood? Here's that word again, group economics. They understood that. That's why you had to have a black business in the 70s, 60s, and 80s, the early 80s. The drugstore and the gang started coming in the mid and the late 80s. But to have businesses owned by Mr. James Foster, and you had Drake's Cafeteria, you had that old man, Mr. Monroe, for them to own all of these gas stations and stores and businesses, it wasn't unheard of. To have a black business wasn't no big deal because you see that all the time anyway. In those days, what other type of businesses you gonna go spend your money in?
And then when we had businesses like that, it was promoted. We looked for those businesses to give them our money. You know what I mean? To keep our money in our community.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's another interesting point that you bring up. They say the black dollar leaves the community faster than any other culture.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you had people that didn't want to pay full price for Rosedale clothing, but you gonna give Miri, Versace,
Jordan,
Gucci, and all these other people. But you know, Jordan's a brother. You know,
I mean, I got it. I get it.
You know,
Yeah.
even though he a different type of brother.
Yeah.
He a bro.
It's a little to MJ, but
yeah, he kind of got some questionable behavior.
Yeah, it's questionable, man.
But to say, I say that to say this: we'll give it to Versace, we'll give it to Off-White, we'll give it to Gucci, we'll give it to Fendi, and we not finna argue about that.
Right, we'll fight for it
because these products give us status. We don't want freedom; we want symbols of freedom and status. So this is the thing about it. What would give you more status? To help someone that you know that will more than likely give you that dollar that you asked for, give you that job that you asked for, help them person build their brand up, or keep giving it to Donatella Versace, or keep giving it to Fendi, or keep giving it to Hermes. A person that, or keep giving it to Tommy Hilfiger, a person that tell you, hey, I didn't design this
for you, and you still go back.
I mean, make it make sense.
What do you say? I didn't make it so where you guys wear it the way y'all wear it.
Come on, man. Yeah. Come on,
you
man.
might as well just say what you was gonna say, bro.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Now, you know, again, not to keep touching on that, but there's a video on Nipsey's channel. It's called The Midas Touch. He's hanging out with Slauson Bruce. Slauson Bruce is sweeping up the marathon parking lot. He worked for the shop. A man that probably wouldn't have been able to get a job no more. I mean, no other place. Right. He said, you know what, Bruce? Come on, you going with us today. Put him in the Maybach. Took him to go have a great meal at Oceans. You know what I'm saying? Put him on some fresh Crenshaw gear. Took him to the strip club. Took him to the studio. And let him get a taste of that lifestyle.
Right.
You know, because if I make it, we all make it.
That's the way it should be.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the way it should be, man.
I'm going to kick some of that back. And, you know, I ain't here to talk about what I done for people.
Right.
But if y'all know me, man, y'all know I done looked out for a lot of people.
Right.
You know, and that's our business. I don't put it out there. You know, if you need help with something or if you ever needed something, I always tell you this. I'm going to do it if I can. If I can't, you got to understand. You know, but if you ask me and I can do it, I'm going to do it because this is the thing about it. This is how I want it to be for Rex Fisher. I'm not going to talk about what I did for you while I'm alive. Right. But when I go, that's going to be the time for you to give that eulogy and tell how I helped you.
Right.
That's when I want to hear about what I done or how I done for people. When it's time to remember me and honor my memory. That's the way I want it. I don't want to talk about what I done for you or how I done help people. That's not why you help people.
Right.
You know, there's a saying, if you do this for this person, this is how you get your blessing. I don't believe in that. You do the right thing because it's the right thing.
It's just the right thing. And to comment on that, like me, if I do something for you, I want you to tell that story to the next person that you help. You know what I mean? And make that motivation on why they helped you. If you don't have that motivation already, you know what I mean? So you don't even have to say my name. Just go help somebody, man. It's just the right thing. This is our community. Our race is our community. We should have a lot more pride in our race and our community. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's a lot of cloud chasing out there. So say that. It's a lot of it.
Yeah, man. And you know, like I say, I'm not trying to turn this to no bash fest or nothing like that. But, you know, man, I as great as Rosedale Clothing did, you would have thought somebody would have reached out to me and interviewed me. Yeah. But like I say, that's why I mentioned him earlier. OG Percy had me on. Dean Manuscript, aka Big Rip, had me on. Clarence Jordan had me on. Shouts out to Clarence. He is with that Black Heart group.
Yeah.
You know, he showed me some love and had me on his show. Then my homeboy from Drippy Bear, you know, Coach Burns, him and another sister, man, her name slips my mind right now, but we all went to school together. They had me on their show, you know, but it was just like a handful of people that reached out to me and talked to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if I forgot your name or forgot to mention you, charge it to my mind and not my heart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I got love and respect for anybody that has supported Rosedale Nation, Rosedale Clothing, and Rex Fisher. You know, but you know, I don't do this for no pats on the back or no credit neither. You know, I do this to represent the positive side of the story that never gets told in our city. We know it's violent. You know, we seen people come from elsewhere and basically with the social media content and with this blogging platform, basically kick off a gang war. Mm-hmm. And I know guys that I done grew up under who have been in the street all their lives, man. I've seen these men burying their children, man.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And that's hurtful,
yeah,
man.
That's crazy.
And I done lost my homeboys and, you know, guys that I used to go to their house, we trade video games, or play pickup basketball, and I grew up with their brothers and their cousins. You know, went to school with each other all our lives, and these guys done lost their lives to this. You know, this is the longest active genocide, civil war, however you want to call it, in the world.
And it's still going.
And it's going to continue to go.
It's still going, man.
And we continue to promote the foolishness.
And we have, and the crazy part about that is we got all the power behind it. We got all the power. And we act like, well, I grew up in this community and it's kind of just what we did. You know what I'm saying? I was in high school in the early 90s, you know, in the 90s, pretty much in the 90s, man. And pretty much in Fort Worth, that's all it was. You know what I'm saying? In Fort Worth, you kind of had to pick a color. You know what I mean? You kind of had to.
And the thing about it, if you've been in that area,
colors, they looking at you like you crazy.
Are you lame? It's uncool. It's uncool. You're not gonna get no respect. You're not gonna be accepted amongst your peers. In this city, you either was gonna gang bang or sell dope. And if you didn't do that, you're not gonna be respected. You're not gonna be looked at in a certain way. Me, I'm the example of what you do when you don't buy into it at all. I know a lot of major players on both sides of the color ball, but they'll tell you one thing. One thing about Rex, he gonna mind his business. He gonna stay out of the way. I don't want that. I don't go to the clubs. You're not gonna really see me amongst that because I'm a businessman first. I'm a family man. Well, I'm a family man first. I'm a businessman second. So, I be with my woman and my children, man. I be with my mother. And, I was told, it was being said about me around the community that I don't do nothing for my mama and that I don't take care of my mama. So I fixed that problem. Mama live with me. I take care of mama myself.
Already.
I make sure she get her meds. I make sure she get her food. I make sure she got to go somewhere. She got a way to go to.
Right.
I got her own phone. She got her own bed, her own room.
Right.
She live in a bigger house now. She ain't got to worry about that. And I appreciate all y'all that supported Rosedale Clothing because I parlayed that 1,000 units sold to the money they put down, investment in the down payment on a home for my family. From 2019 to 2021, I was able to get out there and grind with my clothes and come up with some money to purchase us a home.
That's what's up.
And then the person who was supposed to be a part of this business and be my business partner, they think I pulled a PPP loan scam and was mad about it. Felt like I didn't give up no money about it. And then stole 5,000. So, while people is out there talking about somebody stole the clothing brand from them, you stole money from me. You stole from your own family. And there was a lot of shady business that went on behind closed doors with the allocation of, some family assets. That's personal. I'm not going to get into that.
Right.
But it was a bunch of shady business that went on with that. But I didn't shame nobody.
Right.
I didn't smear nobody.
Kept that in-house. Yeah.
Come on, man.
And dealt with it. Yeah. That's
When you have somebody that'll talk about you to anybody that'll listen,
that's crazy.
And then you let an outsider get a hold of this information and take it to the internet and try to further shame. But you know what we do? We take chicken shit and make chicken salad.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They're going to have to edit that out. Man, I've been cussing more than what I would like to, man. But, I'm real passionate. I'm real passionate about what I feel. And to touch on the gang genocide again, I look at that as part of the corruption of law enforcement. Because you got to think about it. If we stop shooting and killing each other, if we stop taking this dope and poisoning each other, who gonna have a job? The Tim Curry Justice Center just becomes a building.
Right.
It just becomes a big ain't no cases going through there if we not shooting and killing each other. Right. Them prisons down there is not being built and it's not being filled up. Don't you know that some of those small towns, that's their whole economy?
And the crazy part about that is, man, because a couple of years ago I was doing this research. I'm kind of like you. I just random research, man. I like to read and stuff. I was researching this company called Core Civic. And they pretty much own anywhere from 90 to 95% of the prisons in America. Got control of it.
Right.
And they have to have a, what's the word? I think they have to be like 95% occupied or they get fined. And if you look into this company, and if you see, like, I'm going to just say the universities, these colleges that we spend a lot of money just trying to go get degrees that fund this company.
Incredible.
And the radio stations and the media outlets that fund this company. So it's a vicious loop, man. So it's all win-win for them. It's all win-win for them. We don't realize it, so we have to pay attention to that. So it's crazy, man,
And to further on that, the way that they say that gangster rap was weaponized in the 1990s to encourage the prison population, I feel like streaming and podcasting has became that new weapon.
And with the algorithm and the powers that may be, I think a lot of this stuff hit that front page.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of this kind of stuff kind of get the back burner.
Of course, it may not get sent through the algorithm for you to see this, And then again, like I say, I got younger nephews and stuff like that, and I get to talking in this passion to them, and they, oh man, there go Uncle again, and they'll sit there and listen, but it's really in one ear and out the other, man. And you can take classic hood, and I had a cousin post. He had post on his page, what's the best gang movie? And you had all these answers, South Central, Colors, Blood In, Blood Out with the essays, and even that. To segue on that, when you look at group economics, and not to talk on them people business like that too much, but all the Hispanic gangs fall up under landman. They don't fight each other. When it comes to on the streets and in prison, they all fall under that 13 mellow, especially in California. It's the name of their gang and then 13. So in prisons, Bloods and Crips, they gotta get along. And then, when you go out of state, as far as California, they got rivalries. It's Crip on Crip rivalry.
Right.
A lot of the times down here in Texas, guys don't even know about that.
Right.
In Texas, it's to the point where all Crips get along. As far as on the red side, from what I understand, they never had no internal beefs until later on because they was the smaller group.
Right.
Anyway, make a long story short, all they Crip on Crip rivalries, all the disagreements amongst these neighborhoods, it goes to the side in order to survive in the system.
Right.
So you gotta survive in the free world in the same way.
Right.
Find a way to use your resources in a positive way. Shouts out to Terry Woden. He's a guy out there in California. He does a Buy Back the Block series on Facebook and Instagram. He's an author. He's from FOPAC. Shouts out to Terry Woden. Terry Woden say it's a lot of things that your lying ass big homie ain't gonna tell you about the culture. This is a guy who was a gangster crip and did a lot of time, was accused of murders and so on and so forth. But he's turned that energy into being positive. And he say, this is the thing about a gang. If you don't do criminal activities, it's hard to tell the difference between a gang and a sorority or a fraternity. And that was deep when he said that. If you take the negative activities away, it's hard to tell the difference between the two.
So I mean, just speaking on that, man, because I'm a hit and miss on this one, but even with the fraternities, sororities, you know what I mean? Because like you said, that's pretty much a game.
I mean, the police department in itself is a fraternity.
But pay attention to it. Like when you go to colleges, man, I'm gonna say this. First off, we do step shows. I like the step shows. I like the step show culture, and but at the same time, it's like, do the white fraternities and sororities do this? Number one. Number two, the sororities and fraternities that we do are typically charters of these other fraternities and
you touching on something real deep. Now you going real deep.
It is no deep.
But you going to the whole other thing when you talk about skull and bones.
Hey, man,
when you talk about the bootleg and things of that nature. I see where you're going with it.
Well, I don't want to go there, but it's pretty much a common sense thing with me though. And I just don't understand how people see it. And I understand that they have their you got pros and cons to everything. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna say at the same time, being black and then being any other ethnicity in this country. Well, I said it right. This company.
Look, he told the truth.
It's a corporation. I mean, it is.
Correct.
So a lot of these rules that are provided for everybody don't necessarily apply to us.
There you go.
So, and being maybe a black man or of black descent, African descent or whatnot, and we're not paying attention to this, it's crazy. And I tell a person all day, a person that's about their money but they don't pay attention to politics, it's kind of weird. I mean, that's kind of weird.
It don't go hand in hand.
I mean, and they the ones that dictate how we make our money.
Come on now.
So I just don't get it.
Man, he having a good podcast today.
So
he got some good content. You gonna learn today.
I mean, but anybody that know me, anybody in my circle, they know how I roll. You know what I'm saying? I don't speak a lot, but
when you speak, you say something.
I say something. Yeah. I get in trouble because I'm very blunt. I'm unapologetic. I said it. If we gotta fight, we just gotta fight, or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I said it. You know what I mean?
Right.
What he say? My balls and my word, man.
Yeah, that's all you got.
That's all I got.
Hey, and when you touched on that, that's real. You want to win in the game, you gotta know the rules to the game.
Right.
And back to touching on what I was saying about those crime movies and about those gang movies, what you had in the early 90s was this. You could tell me about when Kane jacked the food at the drive-thru. Right. You could tell me about when Doughboy and them got their revenge for Ricky.
Right.
You could tell me about when OG Bobby Johnson was about to ride down on Jeannie Lamp. Yeah. And what happened with Willie Manchester shot little J Rock
in the back.
Yeah, you can tell me about all of that.
Yeah.
But can you tell me about when Kane finally went to go see Purnell? And Purnell told him, say, man, teach my son that the way that we grew up was BS, man.
Yeah.
Or when Kane went to go see Sharif and Mr. Butler, and Mr. Butler tell him, you got to think about your life.
Right.
Being a black man in America isn't easy.
So he knows that. Yeah.
Like when he hit that, oh man, if you didn't feel that here, you ain't got no soul. Right. You know what I'm saying? Furious Styles talking to Ricky and his son Trey. We gotta keep everything here black owned with black money.
Took him out there to the parking lot. Showed him the billboard.
Yeah. And he showed him gentrification. He showed him we'll buy your house. We buy ugly houses all the time.
And what they do, they came out there and mocked that man while he was sitting there spitting that culture, man.
Come on,
they say he come out here all the time, man, and speak that.
Yeah, come on, man.
It's crazy, man.
But these are the parts of these iconic films that we don't remember.
Yeah.
But yet and still, the filmmakers of that era put the messages in there.
Yeah.
Whereas now, you're going to get the file and film without the message. You're not going to get that part of it. John Singleton will give you that. The Hughes brothers will give you that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that no more. That's the same thing with the music. Tupac was a fool, but he going to give you Brenda's Got a Baby.
Yeah.
He going to give you Wonder Why They Call You. He going to give you a Thug Mansion. He going to give you all of these, the little homies, Unborn Child.
Yeah.
He going to give you all these records with messages.
Right.
Even Spice One. Spice One got that Welcome to the Ghetto.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All the rest of his records might be violent. Yeah. But he gonna give you at least one.
He gonna give you one.
He gonna give you two.
Well, and we lived in a different era.
Think about.
That was a different era, man. We just don't have music but we do. But these guys,
them artists is not magnified.
Right. I always say this. I made a post on Facebook the other day, and I said I can't say this man's name, but he the hardest MC in Texas. Toby. I can't say his last name.
The brother, he got an African last name. I know who you talking about.
Hardest. I don't care who you are.
I never knew that brother. I never knew that brother was from Texas.
Yeah, he's from Houston.
He say try Jesus because I throw hands. Yeah. I didn't never know that. Yeah, but that brother is cold. Man, speaking of cold, J. Cole is another tough one.
Yep.
K-Dot is another cold one.
Yep.
But these guys, they big artists, but you're not gonna hear that in our region And in our region, you're not gonna really hear that style of music. Fort Worth and Dallas, I heard, is a testing ground for major record labels to try their music out. And what we caught on to, just like we caught on to that in the early 90s. In the early 90s, we caught on the gangster rap. In the early part of this decade, we caught on the drill music. And that kind of driven the sound here. You know, cause just like at one point, we had that Atlanta type of vibe. We had people want to go with that sound. But, you know, it all kind of fizzled out with this drill thing. And, you know, the youth don't like what they like.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And ain't nobody trying to police or control that. But if you can give something negative, you can give something positive too. Because a battery can't run with just negative energy. It gotta have both.
Yeah. You wouldn't know if it's a negative without the positive.
Come on.
Yeah.
So that's all that I'm really saying about what we see in the streaming and podcast community. You see the same old narrative, man. And you know, it's no different than tabloids. And you know, like I was saying, if you don't have crime, you don't have the Tim Curry Justice Center.
Right.
You don't have these prisons. They gotta put people in these prisons, man. Imagine this. America got more prisoners than any other place in the world. What's the number one and number two prison states in America? Take a wild guess.
Texas. I know Texas is one, and California.
And them two slots alternate. They'll be number one sometimes, and we'll be number one sometimes. But that's always number one and number two. And what
I didn't know that. I guessed that. I actually guessed that.
And guess why they got that type of issue. So,
but these two states, I mean, it's just
put two and two together. Put two and two together.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never
Illinois got a pretty bad problem, and that Midwest, they not as chronicled as like California and Texas. But when you talk about St. Louis, Missouri, one of the most high crime places you can go to. Of course, Chicago, Illinois. Plus, of course, Gary, Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. All these places.
There's more.
Yeah, it go down up there. But you wouldn't know this. Yeah. But again, it's based in this genocide of gang warfare. So this is my thing. If we gonna keep going back to bad behaviors, if we gonna keep going back to these type of behaviors, let's go back to the behavior that really had everybody shook, the revolutionary thought. The only political party that had ever been for the Black American is the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Yet still, you can talk to these young people. They don't know who Bobby Seale is. They'll give you Huey P. Newton. Yeah. They done heard that name.
They don't know who he is, but they
done heard that name. But they can't give you Bobby Seale. They can't give you Eldridge Cleaver. They can't give you the brother that just died, Rap H. Brown. Rest in power to him. They can't give you Assata Shakur. They'll get lucky and guess and say she was kin to Pop. When she was. You know, so you'll have these type of things, you know, but you won't hear it, and it's not a conversation. They don't know about Flores Forbes.
Geronimo Prayer.
They don't know these names. You know what I'm saying? And you will have these guys that come. Flores Forbes, he led the Black Panther Party in Los Angeles, 42nd and Central, where it was. And people that know me and know my family, they'll know why 42nd and Central is important. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay. Why it got a little importance to us or whatever. So 42nd and Central was the headquarters for the Black Panther Party in LA, and it also was a site of a notorious shootout with the Black Panthers in LAPD. I want to say they show a little bit of that in the 1990s film Panther, starring Kadeem Hardison, Tyron Turner, who plays Kane.
I'm gonna go back and rewatch that one, man.
AJ Johnson, who known more as Ezel, he in there.
Yeah.
You got all these brilliant actors that's in that film. It's a great film, and it's one people don't talk about. They don't talk about that.
I haven't heard that name.
Yeah, but Panther was a great film, man. And I think it talks about that shootout on 42nd and Central. These people be getting these guys from California, and they don't ask these type of questions. Who was Daryl Gates? Daryl Gates was, you know, the police chief out there who said if you put a black into a chokehold, he's not gonna die because the black person's esophagus is not like most animals, not like most people. Notice what I said, not like most animals. You see what I'm saying? They ain't telling you who was Daryl Gates. What is the Rampart scandal? What is Crash? We got the task force. We got a gang unit. But Daryl Gates created this militarized style of policing that people would go out to California from Texas to see how to combat their newfound gang issue. And Daryl Gates was instrumental in creating that. And the Rampart scandal, what the Rampart scandal got to do with hip hop? Well, you got to look and see who Rafael Perez was, who Officer Mack was, and what they had to do with certain rap moguls out of California. And then you might learn a little something about the Rampart scandal. But then, you know, maybe these guys don't know nothing about this. Or maybe it's something that those that got these platforms and that's contacting these people can't talk about this. Because how you keep on pushing this same narrative. This is the only thing you want to talk about on your show.
That's it.
Now, I know you want views and view checks, but man, take them guys in Dallas. I'm not going to mention the show because I don't know if that'll mess with y'all, you know, monetary thing, but I'm just saying the guys in Dallas with the blue couch. Okay. They done had Mark Cuban. They done had Grant Cardone. They done had a couple guys that do security and stuff like that. A lot of y'all don't know who Grant Cardone is. Grant Cardone is a real estate mogul and billionaire. He was on there dropping knowledge about credit, about real estate, about stocks and bonds. And they still getting thousands and thousands and hundreds. And you getting viewership
some
out
real
of
ones though. Them boys out there, some real ones.
So why is you not trying this different lanes to get viewership? You got a Wall Street Trapper out there, millions of views, thousands and thousands of subscribers. Them brothers at Earn Your Leisure. You know, these brothers at these different podcasts and different type of content. Why ain't nobody trying to provide none of this financial literature content? You know, and Fort Worth is one of the hottest in the podcasting space.
Right, the 10th largest city in the nation.
If we not one of the hottest, we the hottest when it comes to this podcasting thing. But it's the same type of content in and out. You know what I'm saying? Which makes sense to why I ain't never really had no lane in that. Because I'm not gonna sit up there and talk drug and gang stories with you. I'm not gonna do it.
So I want to speak on that because, like, well, I'll say us here at Digital Dopamine, man, we don't really follow any kind of certain demographic. And I know people probably watching our viewers and stuff, and they're trying to figure out what kind of platform this is. It's not a negative platform. That's one thing it's not. It's not a strictly music platform. Right. You know what I mean? I look at it as like a village. You know what I mean? I'm going to help this man like he going to help me. That's what that is. You know what I mean? And I also want to, I'm just throw a little film in there. Hey, man, I challenge the citizens of Fort Worth, especially my African-American brothers and sisters, man. Let's throw that some Montessori. And I'm going to leave that on the table.
Oh.
And
see, that's deep. And yeah, let's talk about that. Brother being X and that sister,
oh
I
my
can't
goodness,
think of her
man,
name.
I'm proud of him, man.
They got a whole career center over there. Ain't nobody talked about that on their platform at all. I ain't heard 2 words about it.
2 words.
A career center where you could go learn how to be a welder, or where you could learn financial literacy, or you could study to get your CDL, or you could study to go into cosmetology. Another thing I like to say, hair and beauty is supposed to be an industry we dominate as black people. Don't nobody want to be flyer than us. Don't nobody want to look richer than us. We supposed to dominate fashion, hair, and beauty. Ain't no way it's supposed to be, nothing against Asian people, but they shouldn't dominate that. When you go into
in our hair.
When you go into the hair supply store, you see they starting to hire us and put us in there, but it shouldn't be just owned by them and them only. And I heard a weird story. The reason why that became like that, they say, again, here go drugs again. They say Frank Lucas was washing his money through beauty and barbershops and through the hair industry. And when he went down and caught his case, that's how he lost a lot of the businesses, and the Asian people brought it up. I don't know how true that is, because you get a lot of content that get created and it be hearsay and people take it as true. But I heard that.
I heard about that hair, these 27 pieces and all this other stuff that they be buying. I heard that they put spells in his hair.
Really?
That's what I heard. I don't know how factual that is, but I heard that these people are putting spells in his hair, and then we're taking them and putting it on our crown, our head.
Man,
that's crazy.
Man, I don't want to touch that.
I know, right? Anybody, if y'all know something, y'all comment.
You sisters be acting kind of wild too. You sisters be acting kind of crazy with a brother, man. Y'all be getting real, talk real, fly talk. Got aggressive attitude. Maybe they using that to divide the community.
I don't know. We don't know what's real and what's fake now.
And it's hard to tell, man. And I think that's a great challenge to try to put a school. Because what Brother being X, and forgive me, I do not know the sister's name to help them with that project. But that's a great thing they done put together over there in Dallas. I don't even think that made the news. I don't even think that made, so they didn't even
nobody's promoting it. I mean, he's talking about it on his Instagram, but outside of that, I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Ain't nobody said nothing about it. So shout out to Brother being X, man. Because you doing something great for the community when you put something in there that's going to educate us and create better life opportunities. Life chance opportunities. What are those? That's education, that's employment, and that's places to live, man, housing. What is racism? The power to control life chances. Let's stop saying that ignorance. Because you don't like a person for what they look like, that's prejudice. You got some prejudice, black and white people. But racism is systemic. That's apartheid. That's Jim Crow. That's redlining. Those are those things that you don't see black supervisors in the workforce. Or if you do see minorities get promotions, it's a white woman or a black woman. Where they hardly, give these promotions to African American men. The hiring process, the stipulations that are put on jobs for you to be able to get these jobs. You got to look at all of these things and say, when you got a center like what Brother Being X done put together, this is to give you better life opportunities.
That's the stuff we're supposed to be promoting.
Yeah. And speaking of which, a promotion, I want to give a shout out to young Caleb Riddle. Caleb Riddle and his clothing brand, God's Children Are Not For Sale. And what he's talking about,
that's powerful.
And what he's talking about, you can take that into many different meanings. Be true to yourself and not sell out. And also, man, protect our children from pedophilia and from sexual assault, sexual abuse, and the trafficking of kids for sexual reasons, man.
And a lot of people, and I want to hand on that because a lot of people, just because they don't see it, doesn't mean it ain't real. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a lot of people that do see it, but just because you and your circle and never experienced anything like that, I have a family member or a close loved one that experienced the pedophilia, the sex trafficking, doesn't mean it's not real. You know what I mean?
Right, man. A lot of these kids get, have been through that, man.
It's
Children.
a lot.
Then you have, they grow up to be scorned adults because people don't believe them or they feel like they don't have anyone to tell. So y'all follow is Stay Solid Riddle. His name is Caleb Riddle. If you're interested in buying some of his clothing and some of his design, God's children are not for sale. It's for a great cause, and he's a great young man.
That's powerful.
I met him when I was working a job. I met him. He worked in the same building that I worked in. So I want to give a shout out to Caleb Riddle, Stay Solid Riddle on Instagram. You can contact him to get your merch and check that out, man. But I feel like a lot of things don't be talked about, and a lot of things don't get touched on because of the corruption of the public officials, the corruption in law enforcement, and it's a order out of chaos situation.
Right.
The system thrives on its victims. Is a line that I heard Nas say on one of his records. And I think that's a very powerful line when you say that. Because if you don't have nobody to take advantage of, if there's no base at the bottom, how can the pyramid stand?
True.
So in a capitalist system, there has to be poor people.
Has to be.
And
majority, actually.
And we were born into a culture and born out of a situation where we was the number one labor force for hundreds of years, and there has been no reparation. So we can't keep beating on the door and crying for reparation. We got to create a plan to take our reparations. And it got to be a bigger plan than just talking about money. We need land. Real estate is the only true value in the economic system. Real estate and precious metals. Paper money is just the IOU. There's no real value behind paper money. And you see that with inflation. With inflation, the price of everything is going up. Why is that, Rex? Because if this can of this drink costs $7, that's expensive, right? Well, it costs $7 because I gotta use 7 paper credits to pay for it. So because I gotta use so many credits to pay for it, the strength and the value of that dollar is not strong. It takes so much to produce this product, and it takes so much to buy this product that lets you know that the money that's being printed, it costs too much to get this item. It is not enough value in what's being printed. And then when you don't have nothing to back it, there's no gold to back the dollar. There's no precious metal to back the dollar. When Muammar Gaddafi was trying to create the gold dinar, when he was trying to create the gold dinar, he wanted to use Libya's oil reserve to back that gold dinar. So here he is, he have a physical piece. It's a precious metal, but he actually got an oil reserve to back it even further. So that would have made that one of the most powerful physical forms of currency on earth. And we're not gonna go any further than that because we on live stream. But rest in power to Colonel Gaddafi, because you know the rest. Y'all got context clue.
I'm telling you. And if you don't know the rest, man, I mean,
do your research.
You online, you on Facebook 8 hours out the day, like they paying you. I mean, don't hit Google. Ask Siri about this stuff, man. Because a lot of this stuff, what they say, the easiest thing to hide from a black man, put it in the book.
Put it in the book. Don't nobody want to read about it.
And don't say you don't like to read because you're reading Facebook.
And you scrolling all day, getting your dopamine. But I'm glad you plugging in with digital dopamine.
Dopamine.
And theirs is the American dream. And that's to, give y'all quality content, man. And give you something that's not just something that you can enjoy, but something that you can learn from.
Right.
Because it's on us to build better communities. We can vote whoever we want to in office. It don't matter at the end of the day if we not taking the steps to be a part of the process and to be a part of the progress of our communities. You got to get out there and do the work. Right. If you don't want to do the work, ain't nothing gonna change. Right. We saw Jazzy Mack get up there and speak how she spoke at that city council meeting. Man, that's one of the realest things I done seen in a long time. Right. And that's what I'm telling y'all about being involved.
And Patrice Jones, I want to mention her too. Man, these women are, hey.
And so, man, men, what we gonna do to step up and be better? And that ain't taking away the accountability from me. Right. I gotta be better. I gotta do better. I gotta be more involved, man, because I'm the only one that's seen to try to articulate some of these ideas, man. Like I say, in a time where we had Bobby Seals and Eldridge Cleavers and Rap H. Browns and men like that, man, we was getting a lot more done. And the people that was in office, they was being kept honest because they had to watch a true problem of somebody trying to build the community instead of destroy it. And like I say, man, I'm not trying to be too preachy or be too hard on y'all, man. I know times got hard. People did what they had to do to survive. I understand that. But again, going back to the great hustle, we got to get out of survival mode. When you get out of survival mode, now your mind free to create something like us right here on this podcast set. They put their resources together, they put their ideas together, and they came up with something great, man. And we done been on here almost 2 hours. I got some other things I got to do today. But I appreciate everybody that done tapped in and done watched this. I appreciate the homie Dancer, the Brian King, and Digital Dopamine for having me, man. Bridges Bankroll, shout out to them. I just appreciate y'all having me, man, because I don't really get to articulate these ideas, and I don't do a lot of these. You're not gonna see me on a lot of these. Like I say, Clarence had me on his show. I did the thing with the older homie, and shouts out to Raw Truth and the Wolfpack, J Champ. They took me out there to go see them brothers with the blue couch. I went out there and did a little thing with them, and that was cool, man. But other than that, I'm not really out there because I don't involve myself in certain type of things. My business is about the streets. My business ain't in the streets. So, I carry it and I hold myself to a different standard. I don't always want to, hit y'all with something that may seem preachy. We're going to have fun too. But if it's not constructive and if it's not moving the culture and moving our people forward, I really don't want nothing to do with it.
I always say this, man, and people be like, society. I got this little thing I go by. They be like, well, society say this. Me, myself, I'm not part of society. I try to stay the fuck away from society. No. And most people, mentally, you try to stay away from society because society is bad.
Correct.
There's a lot of negative to go with society.
Correct.
So don't blame it on society. Don't let that be the reason. That's all I'm going to say, man.
Correct.
And like I said, man, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. If people was trying to get in touch with you about Rosedale clothing, man, just even trying to talk to you, because you're a man of knowledge, man. They may even want to reach out for like mentorship at any time. How can they get at you, man?
Hey, man, follow TBM Rex Fisher on Instagram. What does TBM stand for, Rex? The Black Mandate. This is a call for us as a people to come together, find out what we need to do to better ourselves and better our community. So it ain't no gang or nothing like that. It's a shadowy organization because we need that. And you got these other people that got their other things. We need something like that. You got the JDL out there, what they do for their group. We need something like that. Because the NAACP and all of that stuff is owned and funded by people who have oppressed us from a different angle. And that's not to put down everything that they've done. They've helped us accomplish great things.
Of course.
But I'm just saying, like what I told y'all about blanketed advice. What worked then may not work now. And we might have to be a little more extreme and a little bit more radical in what we have to do something for our youth, our elders, and ourselves. So you can find me on Instagram, TBM Rex Fisher. You can find me on Facebook as Rex Fisher. You can find me on Threads as Rex Fisher. You know, and you can follow my YouTube channel. You know, but I really don't do a lot of talking through social media.
Right.
You know, I just now got back on social media when you reached out to me to do this thing.
Right.
You know, and I really tried to promote it as best as I could. But, you know, my work is out there with the people and trying to serve the people and trying to come up with something that's going to help us and how we can be productive. That's really my whole thing. You know, if you see me in the street, you can speak and talk to me. If you know me, you got my personal information and phone number. Give me a call, give me a text. I'm open to working with and talking to anybody. So, you know, please, if you want to work with me, you want to talk to me, just reach out to me. You know, through social media or through a friend of a friend.
Or hit me up. This the homie.
He can put you in contact with me. You know, we family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what we got to get back to. Because like I said, it was once upon a time where our people understood group economics. We need to get back to that.
But we understand.
That's right.
Line it up.
That's right.
So, man, like I said, thanks to our viewers for tuning in, man. Like, share, subscribe. We love y'all. Rex Fishing. Rosedale Clothing, man. It's a brand, baby. Hit them up. We love y'all. Thanks for watching.
Salute. Man, I appreciate you having me, bro. Yeah, man.
Give me some batteries.
That was dope. Man. Yeah, but yeah, fam, you know, man, I appreciate you doing this, man, because I usually don't get to do stuff like this too often, man. And hopefully, he got a lot of stuff he can use.
Oh, yeah.
You know.